Chapter 60. The King's Palace, Olympia, Greece. The morning of the 4th Olympic Games, 760 BCE. "You sneaky bastard," Bill seethed, taking his place beside Jim for the prince's obligatory pre-games inspection. The other athletes from the prince's gymnasium stood alongside them in their crisp new team togas, stretching and flexing to warm up. "What's gotten into you this morning, Bill? Too much mead?" Jim stiffened, his brows knitting together with concern. "It'll be great. Just have fun." Bill squatted, moving from heel to heel, hissing, "I followed you this morning. I know you found the clock." "Oh, that." Jim rolled his shoulders, rolling his eyes. "I was going to surprise you later, after we'd won. I just wanted your full attention to the task at hand. That being impressing our king, so he cheers for us during the matches." "He's not my king," Bill straightened, interrupted as the prince eyed them critically. Prince Emilius's eyes flew wide with suppressed anger as he strutted past Bill, his gaze moving over Bill's toga, tisking before rattling off a string of harsh words to Jim, who answered calmly in Greek before turning back to Bill. "He says you are a piss stain and you need to change." "I'm sorry. You have a piss stain," Jim informed him smugly, pointing to Bill's crotch, "and you'll need to change." "But I don't have another team toga." Jim smirked. "There's an extra one in my overnight bag you can use for today, but hurry. The parade begins in 10, and we haven't even warmed up." Bill rushed back to their room, indignant, and rifled through Jim's comparatively larger valise, pulling several togas from his bag before finding another emblazoned with their team insignia. Hurriedly donning the uniform, Bill searched the rest of Jim's bag without locating the scroll he'd seen in Jim's hands just this morning. Instead, fishing a rolled length of black cloth from the depths of the valise, frowning as he shook out a long black woolen coat. Now why would Jim need a coat in this heat, he wondered, running his fingers along the bottom interior seam of Jim's bag where he found a small tear in the silk lining. Pushing his fingers inside the lining to feel for the scroll, Bill screamed as his fingertips grazed a tuft of hair. He tugged the flaxen fibers, horrified as a long silver wig slipped onto the floor at his feet. Bill stared in shock at the wig on the floor and the black coat in his hand, faintly hearing the Acropolis crier announce the parade to the Colosseum was about to commence as the villagers swarmed the town square, lining the steps of the Temple of Olympus, the air redolent with their shouts of excitement, barkers selling their wares, and the distant rumblings of a slowly building storm over the blue sea. Frankly, he felt stupid for not seeing it sooner, realizing bitterly Jim hadn't been reformed. He was a stone-cold murderer who'd done in his own aunt, stolen her clock, and kept the trophies of his crime like a serial killer. Reeling from the revelation, Bill made his way to the palace steps, where a raised wooden dais had been erected in the night, already slick from the light mist on the rising winds, a distant smattering of thunder punctuating the orator's lengthy speech. The athletic competitors gathered on the stage, dropping their togas and taking a variety of boastful poses, after which they would pair off, clasping hands as they were announced before jogging through the streets, filing into the arena where the real competition would begin. Bill took Jim's hand as they stepped forward to be presented, squeezing it unnecessarily hard as he snipped. "I know all about you and your Aunt Penelope, Jim. Just cut the crap." Jim shook his head. "I haven't the foggiest idea what you're saying, Bill. Ready? Apollo, something, something, Hermes!" Bill heard the announcer cry as they fell in line with the other teams, jogging briskly down the avenue, the cheering crowds lining the streets, the rain falling at a faster patter on the slick cobblestone of the roads. Rolling thunder and flashes of lightning followed, illuminating the grand temple of Olympus in dramatic fashion, backlighting its arches as they jogged in front of its marble steps, the wind rising with great plops of rain that left the villagers shivering. Bill and Jim stepped out of the parade, squaring off on the steps of the temple as a small audience formed a circle around them. The other athletes jogged on without them. Bill pushed Jim, and Jim retaliated by shoving Bill's shoulder with more force. They feinted one direction, then the other, before Jim took a wrestler's stance and motioned for Bill to advance. "Just admit it, you sick fuck. I found her things in your bag," Bill shouted over the howling winds. Jim pointed to his ears, shrugging as if he couldn't hear. Bill added, "I know you murdered her and stole her clock. Jesus, Jim, was she even your aunt?" "Was she even my aunt?" Jim mocked, sweeping Bill's leg with a fan kick, sending Bill onto his back at Jim's feet. The jeers of the spectators almost drowned out Jim's cackle as he bent over Bill, sneering, "I am Aunt Penelope, you daft twat. She is I." The crowd went wild, cheering, "Apollo, Apollo!" A dramatic crackle of lightning zigzagged down to strike the choppy seas. Sheets of rain poured from the sky as the squall quickened. Leaning down, Jim offered a hand, pulling Bill from the ground. "And you're too late. I reset the king's clock just this morning, and I dare say I didn't include you in the return ratio I programmed. So enjoy your new life, son of Hermes." Jim moonwalked a distance away from Bill. Giggling, he turned his face up to the falling rain, a great peal of thunder rumbling in the churning sky as he threw his arms out like an ascending superhero, sniping, "Later, alligator." Bill realized in that instant he'd been the diversion Jim needed in Greece to reprogram the king's clock, making it his own, and rightfully lost his shit. Lightning struck the temple roof behind them with a blinding flash and a deafening crack, the air around them vibrating with energy as Bill leapt forward with a great roar, his hand stretching for Jim's throat. Boom. Whoosh.